I am the founder of Practically Magic, and I'm so glad that you're joining us today. This is a quick tutorial on how to save time by duplicating your itineraries. Like you, I have made many itineraries for Walt Disney World and Universal, and I created this product to hopefully save you time and really be able to provide your clients a beautiful itinerary that gives them all the information they need. So let's start with the basics. So in a typical itinerary, where I think is a great place to start when building your first template is to build in ground, Disney Genie Plus, and Lightning Lane instructions, and then a general itinerary content. Now, since we don't have Disney's Magical Express, I think many of us have our kind of go-to ground, whether it be Mears Connect or Charlie with Park Avenue Limo or Tiffany Town Car. What I would do is if there's one or two that you typically use, I would put them both in the itinerary, and then you can just delete the one that you're not using, or just put that one that you continually go to. And then of course, Disney Genie Plus and Lightning Lane instructions. I really have two different ways of approaching this depending on how much information I have already shared with the client. And I'll show you that as we go along. And then general itinerary content. I do recommend creating a template for, let's say, Walt Disney World with little ones, maybe Walt Disney World and Universal with teenagers, and then a Walt Disney World or Universal adults only. And then once you have that established, then I would drill it down one farther and put in the seasonal information. So for example, typically park hours in March around spring break for many schools, those park hours are the same throughout the month. And also same with early park entry and fireworks. So now I would have a Walt Disney World, general with little kids, and then maybe I have my March or spring break with little kids. So let me take you to the app itself. When we're talking about duplicating itineraries, let me just give you the quick 101 on how to duplicate. So let's just take this one from the top. We're going to hit duplicate trip. You can change this title right now, or you can change it later. It's totally up to you. And as we look at this, when we see these dates, we now need to change the dates. So you can do this by either one, going in and editing. I recommend go into the field and make that change within the field. And I'm going to tell you why here. So let's go there. If I were to click on this calendar, you'll notice I can't click on future dates. But when you input it into that field, it allows you to put in future dates. Now, the other way to change this is if we were to go into the itinerary itself, and you can edit dates here. And in this calendar, you can go forward. So easy peasy. You just pick the dates, and you'll notice one of the things here is you have these little white and red numbers. And when you click on it, you'll see that there is a corresponding red notification here to say, hey, something with a time was in here. Do you want to reconfirm this? Because it knows that you have changed the dates or you've duplicated an itinerary, and it knows that you may not have the same itinerary, or it may not be the same time, or if you made a dining reservation, you may need to reconfirm that. So these are little things to say, hey, there's something with the time, just come over, look at me, either one, confirm that yes, I am in the right place, or second, delete me. So that's there. The other thing that I want to talk about is if you have a great itinerary in your past trips, the same thing goes. You just need to hit duplicate. You can change your title. And then when it comes to changing dates, if you hit edit here, don't click on this, just go in here in the field and change it to the new dates. Or your other option is to actually click into the file, and you can change dates in here any way you like. Okay, so that is that. Now I'm going to go into my Walt Disney World and Universal with little ones. Now, here is what I will tell you. So right now, there's no way to merge itineraries. So what I recommend is creating an itinerary that has all the days that you would typically have, or all the possible days that you think you typically would have. And what I mean by that is, do all of my families with little kids go to Universal? No. But do some of them? Yes. And so what I want is, I would rather have days that I can delete rather than having to create new days. So for example, let's say, I duplicated this trip, but really they're going not this many days. Let's say they're only going 5 nights. So I'm going to go change the dates. And what happens, you'll see over here, is that these things get grayed out. These are the extra days. So you need to decide, what are you going to do with those? Are you going to delete them? Well, let's say this client, like Islands of Adventure, they definitely want to go to, but they're not interested in Epcot. I can move Epcot down and I can move this up. Or let's say they're not going to the Magic Kingdom the first day. Let's say they're going on day 5 to the Magic Kingdom. You can move any of these things around. And this is also super helpful, not even when duplicating, but just if a client decides that they're going to change their plans and they want to change their days around. Again, we have these little red numbers here to tell us like, hey, is this really still at 8 a.m.? And that hopefully is very helpful to you. So then when you know which days that you want to delete, all you need to do is go ahead and delete them. Now, the same is true. Let's say if you are going to elongate the trip. So let's say they were going the 13th to the 23rd, they're going to stay 10 nights. What would happen is you would get these new days down here. Now, let's say this family likes to do, a park and then a resort day, a park and then a resort day, a park and then a resort day. I can move all of those around. So super easy, super convenient to move things around, to add, subtract days, all of that sort of stuff. So now let's just talk about how to set up each day and kind of what your options are. So I want to go to Disney Hollywood Studios. I'm going to go in, I'm going to confirm that, yes, we're going to use that early opening at 7:30 because that's the time it is. You can see in this one, I have been a little bit wordy. I have an expanded instructions for lightning lane. So I may have used this when I didn't have a call with the client, and I wanted to be very explicit in how they should do their lightning lanes. When we go over here to the Magic Kingdom, my other way of doing this is if I have explained to the client how it all works and they just need the overview of select this first, then go purchase this, I may just make a very small one. Now, what I would say is, your systems and how you deal with your clients. And what I would say is, if typically you're doing a long call explaining Disney Genie beforehand, then maybe all you need is to make one of these that looks like this. But maybe if you're not, or maybe you want to have a long explanation for the first day and then shorter explanations as they go on. Most of the time, our longer explanation is going to be applicable to everyone. So super easy to create that and then just either pull it in, or like in this, I just have it in there. And once it's duplicated, it's there. That's something to think about. Then again, we talked about lightning lanes. We talked about early entry. We've talked about also fireworks. So like, if I want to add Harmonious to their Epcot day, I think that it makes a ton of sense to add fireworks. The only thing about that is, and again, if you're going to drill it down and do it for the season, like you're going to have a Walt Disney World with little ones for March, then sure, put the time in. If you're just wanting to create a generic one, you can always just pull it down and there's no time needed. But let's say I'm like, nope, I know that this is at 9 p.m. that night. I can put that in there. And then it's great to have this as part of my template, that it's always going to remain there. Oh, I already did that. So that is, I think, when we talk about the things that I would add, obviously what you don't want to have in there is things like airfare or which resort they're staying at, One thing that I will note is when I do my ground transportation entry, I use something like a Disney resort as a generic, so I actually don't have to change this. I mean, obviously, I would want to add the pickup time and date for my client, but I don't necessarily have to change where they're going to because I'm going to add, let's say they're staying at the yacht, I'm going to add the yacht club underneath it. So it's not as though the client won't have information on where they're going. um, so, and again, when we are talking about moving things around, you can always take things from below and move them up. So, super easy on that side of things. I hope that this helped you as far as learning possibly some new things about making your job easier when duplicating itineraries. If you have any questions, please let me know. Please also let me know what you would like me to do the next class on, and I'm happy to help you. And thanks for being a Practically Magic user. All right.